like this. Alright. Hello and welcome to the Sage of Tarn Alpha version 0.48 November and December 2020. So, following last time where we implemented the preliminary UDP multiplayer after the initial multiplayer, I now needed a little bit something different to take my mind a little bit off of the multiplayer in general. So I accidentally asked myself the question, can we get shaders on the backgrounds and foregrounds? And the resulting rabbit hole of tile layer functions and engine shortcomings was a whole lot longer than expected. However, we now have a full rework of the tile layers and their systems, and it now functions correctly, which is kind of cool, plus an additional feature that I'm going to show you today. So if we jump into it, just to give the baseline view, this is what you've been used to so far. You may see that everything is a little bit out of position for, like the house here as an example, usually is down here. This is because the old system, unsurprisingly, was very imprecise, as we can now see, because I have redone the parallax effect, and what we now have is actually the perfectly correct positions for things, which means we now know that below here, where there's a huge black area, we need to put some more background, because clearly there's not enough. Small stuff like that. You can also see the spikes there as an example. Let me show it again. If we go up here, these spikes here on this particular corner, you can see that they were designed to be up here, but the actual position is not there. Keep it in mind, don't worry about it too much. That's not what the focus today is. So, just to make things a little more clear before we show it off, let's light the shader up, or remove the cave shader, or whatever you want to call it. So you can see the really clear versions of each of these. Now I have adjusted the darkness of each of these layers ever so slightly, so that these ones are not perfectly dark, and that's basically so that we can add the color to them. Now, right now, what you are seeing is the color of the original textures, which means, since they are gray, we can actually put additional colors on them, which is what I have been working on. It's not very easy, because the engine doesn't actually support what I have managed to make it do, and you can see that they improved this in the second engine that they have built, which is good. But, nonetheless, it is not impossible in this engine. So, allow me to, without further ado, show off a little bit color changing here. We'll do the same thing as we do for the player, which is to randomly select colors for each. So, with one click, we get this. This was a super good random one, actually, holy shit. Not too shabby. So, I will just slowly send this guy around this area here. So you can see everything working with parallax as well. And again, each of the layers are colored individually. You won't see much of color on these two because they are so dark to begin with, but you will see a little. We have the purple, we have the green. Now we get down to the no background in the background. Don't look at that. And then we can do it again, of course. And we can in fact do it about as many times as we want, to whatever color it randomly chooses, which won't always be in line with what it should be. That is the next step, ensuring that the colors chosen for the area sort of respected the depth perception, because right now you kind of need darker colors to be closer and lighter colors to be in the back in order for it to create the proper depth field. If it's the other way around, it looks very weird. Let's see if we can get one. So it would be like, come on, let me get one. It's fully random, so it's a little difficult to acquire these. It's also like if they have like almost the same color as this, it becomes really weird in some of the layer aspects. Like there, like over here. You can barely see the difference between the two, which makes it look a little bit strange. These are minor issues, however. And again, this is primarily a proof of concept. We can now apply shaders to each tile layer individually. Each tile layer functions as it's supposed to, and not in some wonky-ass other code that I found elsewhere. I've made my own version of it, basically. And that is the primary thing that I have been working on. Now, slight epilepsy warning before I start spamming this. We can also do it really fast, of course, if I just do this, which makes it look very strange. You can't hear the clicking. We can make it sort of rave a little bit. Of course, this functions with everything else in the game. So if we crank up the speed, come on, let me do it. Full maximum speed and blinking. Can I even do it? There we go. You can probably not even see it. Let's get back up here. Oh, that's a nice one too. I'll need to play around with this to figure out what is the best, obviously. I'll also need to do the grinding to reset all of these. It's basically like, you can sort of see what I did with the old one, right? The if we look a little bit around, you can see sort of a square of spikes here. This square sort of fits with the area that I'm in here. Well, we technically have, you can see the ground underneath there. There's sort of a square in the terrain here as well. That needs to be moved up a little bit, clearly, so that it fits. And it's kind of funny because it's very consistently a little bit too much. All of the foregrounds are a little bit too low, and all of the backgrounds are a little bit too high. So it's like, it is precise, which is good. I also do need to, you see I avoided coloring the ground here. We do have it for the tiles, but I do need it for the secondary aspect of the ground. And I didn't want to break the illusion for you, which it kind of does if we swap colors on the tiles. So I kept that stable. Also to give some sort of visual stability when I start spamming the colors. One interesting thing too is that this reveals one thing that I need to do. You may notice here, in this particular scene as an example, we have the dark here, the ground, the background 1, 2, 3, and 4. But 3 and 4 are cheesed. They are the same, which is why they have the same color. There's a wall butt right there. Okay, let's skip that. Okay, random terrain generation, please. Anyways, this basically shows that I need to remove this and make it its own layer, so we can specialize the color there too. Now it gets a little weird when we get out of the cave too, because obviously since the sky up here is sky and no longer cave background, we kind of don't want it to be green. So see if we can switch it around to get a blue maybe. Okay, that looked was a blue, but not quite the one I was looking for. So here maybe it was a little bit better, a little gray. You can obviously play around this, that if you make colors, oops, I should not have gone up here. But if you make colors, let's just redo. If you make colors for the textures as well, so like as an example, actually you know what, we'll go up and show it. I could show it there, but let's just speed up a little bit. Change the colors up, remove this, so it's very clear, and here. So as a good example, here we have the, oh, I managed to somehow not affect the color at all. Sorry, if I'm getting a little distracted here. I'm not supposed to be working during this day, but we wanted to finish it, and here we are. So look at the houses. They have some different textures. We have a red here, we have the little bit of different. If we apply the colors to them, we can tint them in different shades as well. Oh, that looks very ominous and demonic in a weird way. So this obviously allows for a lot. Just the simple color change allows for so much variety in the terrain and in the feel of the area that we almost don't even need this particular dark shader. I'm still considering to keep it for some areas, but you almost don't even need it, because you can make the tone of an area super green and sloppish like this, or can I get a night version? I'll need to play around with it to get specific versions, obviously, because oh, there we go. Very dark. With the dark background, it kind of works. So you can essentially tone the entire scene how you want to. And the cool part about it is we can easily base this off of position where we are at. So if we go down into the cave, it would change to something else. Not only that, you can, effectively speaking, change it very modestly, in a sense. You could like make it a gradient, so it slowly transitions into another color too. And that's just the color. If you decide to make anything more interesting with shaders, such as combining it with other textures or making it wiggle or any kind of thing you can imagine using shaders, you can now apply to the backgrounds and foregrounds. It may not seem like all that much, but it is a colossal step, and the potential of it is huge. And I think that's sort of all I can say about it, really, to toot my own horn. Progress has been pretty good. so far. I must say the getting here was very annoying, because I've basically been through all of the different tile functions for the entire game, and none of them worked, and that was kind of very... it was demoralizing to go through it all and then realize none of it actually even remotely does what it's supposed to. And that this was not... it was not possible. I'm basically drawing the tiles myself now, compared to using the built-in system, because the built-in system just does not allow for what I need it to. But yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to hold you any longer. That was basically the gist of it. Hopefully you got the idea of this. It's kind of funny. It turns into sort of a rave party whenever you do this. With all the blinking lights, basically. So yeah. And of course, so Merry Christmas, I suppose, too. Because it's right around the corner, right? And take care. I'm going to maybe do this so we stand still for the end. You know what, let's go to the houses just for good measure. Pass the buttons. Maybe I should... I'm not sure if I should remove that or if I should leave it in as a feature. It's a little bit funny. See if we can get a good one for the ending. It is a very, like, you know, super random right now to try and get something, because it's fully random between, I think, 20% and 85% of whatever the original color is. But you can obviously just play around with it and choose whatever you want to. Come on. Okay, I'll just do this. Spam it. Anyways, take care.